Hey guys, it's Tori, and today I'm going to be doing my Ancientsathon TBR. A couple of things. Obviously, I'm in a different location than I usually am, and that is because I'm working on a project with a friend of mine, and we're doing it in this room, and so my lighting's in this room, and so I didn't want to move it. So we're just going to film this video in here as well as a few others, I'm sure. Additionally, I apologize for any background noise. I am right next to the stairs, and so my mom is watching some stuff, and the sound may carry. I'm hoping it's not captured too much on here, but we'll just have to see. I think it might be a little bit, so apologies. But like I said, Ancientsathon, it's finally here, and I finally am doing my TBR, which I am really excited about. Like I said, I just have a lot going on in June, and so I wasn't sure if I was going to do this, but I knew I wanted to at least make some attempts to read some literature from this time period. If you don't know what Ancientsathon is, it is reading basically anything. It's a readathon based around reading anything that was published pre-1700, and I host this along with my co-hosts Jennifer Brooks and David Wiley, which I will link their channels down below, of course, as well as my announcement video, so you can go and check that out if you're interested and might want to join. So as for my TBR, like I said, we are doing it a much more chill way this year. We only have 3 prompts, and I've picked primarily shorter things, minus one thing, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The first prompt, of course, is to read a play, and I am going to be basic and read a Shakespeare play. I think I haven't read any this year, and so I would really like to pick one up. I thought about doing Henry VI Part 2 because I still haven't continued with that, but part of me is kind of in the mood for like a comedy or a romance. So potentially I could read a comedy or read something like The Winter's Tale or Cymbeline, which I believe both of those are considered romances. So I kind of want something like that, but we'll just see what ends up happening, what I end up being in the mood for. This is definitely one that I'll probably read in an afternoon or something at some point. I usually prefer with plays to just read them in one sitting. So most likely that's what will happen, but yeah, I'll let you know how it goes and what I actually choose. I just know it will be something by Shakespeare for that. I might also read a play by Euripides, though. I have read a couple of his plays so far. I think I've just done Medea and Alcestis, yeah. So I would love to read more by him because I have really liked both of those plays. I like the way he writes his plays, so yeah, I would love to get back into this at some point. I also, looking at the names of some of these, I think that a lot of these stories are where his plays are potentially where Natalie Haynes originally would have found some of these stories that she includes in her book, 1,000 Ships. Don't know for sure, because obviously these are stories that would have been well known at the time, so I'm sure other people wrote them down or referred to them in some way. But this one seems to have several that would be specifically in 1,000 Ships. So anyway, curious about that because I'm currently reading 1,000 Ships and hopefully we'll finish it by the end of May. But yeah, that's a little fresh on my brain. Anyway, I might read something by Euripides. Next prompt is nonfiction, and for that I'm going to finally get to the Agricola and the Germania by Tacitus. I have had this on a couple of TBRs and have not read it, so I figured now is the time. It's also not very long, so I feel like it will be easy to get to this one on top of these other short works that I have. This is a history of the Romans' interactions with the Agricola and the Germania, written by Tacitus, who was a soldier and a politician and historian during the Roman Empire. So I think this will be my first like nonfiction from ancient Greece or Rome that I've read. I don't think I've ever actually read a history from them. I've read like philosophical things and stuff, but I haven't read any nonfiction histories like this. So that will be very interesting. Then the final prompt is poetry, and I think I'm going to just read a few poems by John Donne. I have his complete English poems here, and there's not very many. This book looks a lot longer than it actually is because most of this is not actually the poetry. A lot of it is notes towards the back. In fact, let me find it. Yeah, so this half is the poetry and then the other half is just notes. So lots of notes in there. Still a good amount of poetry for sure. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I do want to read some of it. So that's my poetry pick for this year. Then, like I said, I do have one other that doesn't really work for the prompts, and it is a chunker. I don't intend to finish it this month, but I just like to refocus on it because I started it earlier this year and just fell off the bandwagon. So I would love to get more into the groove with it again, especially now that I finished Canterbury Tales finally by Geoffrey Chaucer, which I started last Ancientsathon. Finally finished it in the latter half of May, and so I feel like I can focus on this more now, and that is Morte by Sir Thomas Mallory. This is kind of the original full text of Arthurian legends and King Arthur's tales, and I've heard good things about it. So far I have enjoyed it. I've made it like 230 pages into it, so a good chunk, not halfway or anything, but a good chunk of the way towards the beginning of this year, and then just fell off the bandwagon, like I said. So I would love to continue with this, get refocused on it now that I'm done with Canterbury Tales. So yes, I probably will go back to just reading like 10 or so pages a day for now. I would love to finish this at least by the end of the year. That would be great for me. If I can finish it even earlier, that would be even better, but it is chunky, and it's the kind of story where it's just easier for me to dip in and out of. It's hard for me to just straight read through because it's a lot of little vignettes and things and a lot of different characters, and a lot of it starts to feel repetitive and kind of the same after a while unless I break it up a little bit more. So yes, I think that's what my plan is, but I'll definitely be refocusing on this month. I have been actually filming a reading vlog specifically for that, and I don't even remember the last time I did an update because I haven't even read it very much. So anyway, hopefully we'll be able to get back into that, and that would be great. Other than that, I don't really have any plans. These are all really short for the most part, minus Morte, but like I said, I don't intend to finish it anyway. So I think I'll probably be able to read some other stuff, which is good because I don't always give myself the chance to do that during Ancientsathon. So I am planning to read at least one or two other books. First of all, one I'm currently reading or listening to on an audiobook is Mary, Queen of Scotland and the Isles by Margaret George. This is a fictional telling of Mary, Queen of Scots' life, and of course I am very pleased with it. I am really enjoying it so far, so I will be continuing with this as my audiobook throughout the month, and I don't know what my next audiobook would be, probably something nonfiction. Like I said, not 100% sure, but for now, this is what I'm going for. Sorry I keep whipping this all over the place and it keeps going out of focus. I will try to slow down. But anyway, I will be reading this, continuing with this on audiobook. I guess that kind of works actually because it's set during pre-1700s. It doesn't work as far as like being literature from that time period, but at least it's keeping with the theme of taking me back during that huge swath of time, BC, AD, medieval ages, Renaissance, all of that jazz. So that's kind of fun, but yeah. Anyway, continuing with that, I also, for a project of mine that you'll be finding out about very soon, I am also going to be rereading The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. So that will be one I will be working on probably throughout the month because it is for a project. It's not necessarily a for fun read situation, although I am excited to do it because I haven't read The Hunger Games since probably junior high, honestly, at this point. And then I think I'm just gonna let myself mood read as far as everything else goes between. I'm obviously going to read what I just said for Ancientsathon, but these are mostly things that I can kind of read in between other books, like on a weekend and stuff. So I'm planning on mostly focusing on this during like days off and stuff where I'm like, oh, or maybe after work one day I'm like, oh, I have no plans. I'm just going to get through a play or something, or read a couple of poems or whatever. Or with this one, I think this one may take me more like a week or so, I would guess, to get through. So that's probably what's going to happen with that one, is I'm going to kind of break it up over a period of time and just read a few pages a day on that one. But I'm sure I will have a lot of extra time to mood read a little bit. Not so much that I'll get a ton of books done because, like I said, I do have other projects I'm working on that are taking up a lot of time this month. But I know I'll have the time to read beyond what this will give me. This is just so that it's a little bit of a challenge to just make sure I'm reading it, but it's not so much that I don't think I can get it done as long as I do focus. So Anyway, I'm rambling now. That is my Ancientsathon TBR. Let me know what's on your TBR. Also, if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned, your thoughts on them. I would love to know that as well. I hope you are having a wonderful reading month, and I will see you next time. Bye!